Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Screen Peeking, a weekly podcast where Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games and everything video game related. Today, we have a very packed episode full of opinions and predictions on the Game Awards. Now that the nominees have been shown, Ziggy and I are going to go through most of the categories, and we're going to list what we want or who we want to win out of the nominations for those awards, and also who we think will win from the nominations for the awards. In January, we are going to come together and do our own little awards thing where we are going to give our own game of the year and a couple of their categories based off any game that came out in 2020. So just to make that clear, today's episode is focused on just the nominations for the Game Awards. That's it. Not out of any game in the year. Because we don't agree on all these nominations. Ziggy, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a week.
I've been good. Yeah, it's been a minute. I mean, sort of. It's been a week. Yeah, it's been good. I've been playing some games. I've been playing some interesting games this week. I've kind of been branching out a bit. Got some inspiration and jumping some oldies. So,
Like
yeah.
what?
How about you?
I've been playing games too.
You
I'll
just
talk
want to
about
jump
mine
into this
after.
now?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
let's just jump right into it. We don't have a ton of time.
All right, yeah. So I was just kind of like messing around on YouTube. I watched a video on Suda51, and I was just kind of like, man, I don't know why I haven't played any of this guy's games before, because he's like really cool and they all seem up my alley. So I saw that No More Heroes, there's a port on the Switch, so I just bought it like $20 and fired it up and am absolutely loving it so far. It's so cool. It's like, the only real knock I have against it is just that it is a Wii game through and through, and that is definitely not always a good thing. Like, its motion controls, I think, are actually pretty fun for the most part. Like, it does the thing where, like, you're slashing them, and as a finisher, you, like, swipe the Joy-Con in the direction it shows you to, like, do a finishing move, and that actually feels really cool. I like that. And, like, the bosses are super fun, up until the one I'm stuck on right now, which is, like, the pinnacle of its Wii bullshit, where
Oh, no.
she, like, digs these holes, or there's all these holes underground, but you have absolutely no idea where there are. Like, there's no way to know. And so you'll just be walking, and then you fall into one and get stuck, and you have to, like, just fucking wiggle Joy-Cons as fast as possible to try to get out, which, like, my wrists hurt, and it's hard, too. She keeps on, like, spamming these, like, practically undodgeable moves. It's so annoying. That's the first time I've really felt annoyed at the game, but other than that, like, it's just so stylish and so fun. The story is way artsier than I was expecting, but, like, still really cool. I thought it was going to be, I don't know, dumber, I guess, but it definitely isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm wanting to play this, then I want to just kind of keep going the No More Heroes series, and then I'm hoping to go back and play, like, Killer 7, and maybe, if I have the patience for it, try to play one of his visual novels, but I don't know if I will, because visual novels just don't really do it for me a lot of the time, but they seem really, really cool, and I want to jump in and play his stuff. And I don't know, there's just so much of, like, him and his work that it's interesting to play. And also I've been playing some Jedi Fallen Order now that it's on Game Pass, which on another episode of me playing Souls-likes and struggling with them. And yeah, I mean, I really like how not punishing this one is, I guess. Like, it has the sort of thing where when you die, you have to, like, damage the enemy that killed you to get your XP back. But it, like, if you die again, you're not just, like, done for. You can still just keep trying to get your stuff back. So it's a little easier to deal with. But I mean, the combat's just so fluid and fun, and, like, the level design's really cool. It just has that, like, that really good Star Wars feel to it that I enjoy a lot, with, like, the music and the sound design and, like, the little robot chirps and just, like, the charm of it, which I'm definitely digging. But yeah, how about you?
So, have you played Fallen Order before now?
I played, like, 10 minutes of it at my friend's house, but no.
Nice. So you're enjoying it then so
I'm
far?
pretty fresh on it. Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's cool. As soon as I saw on the doc that you were playing that, I was like, what? That's definitely a Souls-like game, and I loved that game when it came out. That's one of my favorite games of last year for sure. Man, that's a good one. For myself, I finally got my PS5, so I got it on Wednesday, and before that, I kind of wasn't playing anything. I was just doing a lot of preparation. Knew that it was going to be coming, so trying to play some Dark Souls 3, continuing my randomizer run, just getting videos logged in and ready, so that I can fully focus on Demon Souls. And I have been. I played some Astro's Playroom with Taylor. That was a ton of fun. I basically gave her the controller, and I had, on the day I got the system, I got all my settings hooked up, got my all my users like accounts all connected and everything. All the nerdy stuff that you want to do when you're like, oh, I can't wait, I got a new phone or I got a new console or whatever. You just get all your stuff set up. Then I was like, okay, got the game ready to go. Here you go, Taylor. Gave her my controller. I didn't even feel the rumble and just like had her go with it and was like just constantly, what's it like? What's it like? What is it like when you do that? I heard that it's like this. What is it like? You know, and constantly asking her. So that was fun, just kind of having her do that because I wanted to have my own like impressions on stuff. So I did end up like doing a couple things for her, but otherwise it was I have a video up on my channel now for my Astro's Playroom impressions. And that was a ton of fun. Now, yesterday I did about 6 hours streaming for Demon Souls, and today I did another 4 hours. And I am loving that game. You have to play that much. But man, it is kicking my ass today. I don't want to get into it too long. We have a lot to go through, but if you want to see those streams, check out my YouTube channel or check out my Twitch channel. It's there's a lot going on there, and I have a lot of things to say on it. So we might talk about it in a future impressions video for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was my week. One thing I wanted to address also is last week we didn't talk about a game club game, and that was because we were going to play Apex Legends with Jesse, who was on last week, and we kind of were going to do that as a game club thing. For myself, I wanted to kind of record some gameplay or something, but me and my being a noob to streaming, my computer couldn't handle all the things it was trying to do. I had settings all messed up. So we basically played some Apex. That was a ton of fun, and you probably check it out on your stream, right?
Yeah, you can find that on my VOD on my channel, or my YouTube VOD channel is I think it's up there too. I may have forgotten to upload it, but yeah. That was a fun stream though. You can watch me pop off for a few games. I think I had Kill Leader one game. That was good. Yeah,
there's some good stuff going on. Definitely when we were all playing. I want to do it again sometime when we have time.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that was what we did last week. But there's no game club game again this week, and probably not for a little while. Right now, Ziggy and I are both very into the games we're playing, and there's just not enough time to give ourselves another option, because I don't think we'll give it enough. I honestly just don't think we'll give it enough time. I can only speak for myself, but I know for me, I'm so into Demon Souls right now, and once Cyberpunk comes out in a couple of weeks here, I'm going to be full in on that as well. So I don't see us bringing it back until January, but who knows? We'll let you know every week what's going on. But yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way, let everybody know what's going on with that one. Yeah, should we just jump right into the Game Awards then, Zig? And just
before we do that, I want to talk about. So I have not gotten my Xbox Series X yet. Actually, I tried to yesterday. They were back in stock at Walmart at like noon or something. I went naturally. The website was absolutely busted. It crashed. I got stuck in like the CAPTCHA thing on my computer and then my phone. I got it in my cart, but it just wouldn't let me say order. Like it just would, like the button wouldn't work, and eventually it just ran out of stock and I missed it. I was pretty pissed about that. And then the website said that there was some on location at like my local Walmart. I was like, oh shit, okay. So I called that store, and then the lady was like super snippy on the phone and told me no. I was like, okay, whatever. But
probably tired of everyone calling.
Probably, yeah. Kind of can't blame her. But what I did get is this nice Shock Blue Series X controller. It's very sexy. If you're watching on or if you're listening on audio, I'm showing it right now.
It's blue.
It's very, very blue, and it has this nice like white back, which I enjoy too. I like the sort of tricolor themes. So I fucking adore this controller, to be totally honest. Like, it is everything I liked about the Xbox One controller, but just better. And like, it just feels like the build quality in general is just better. Like the triggers,
right?
Hear that nice sort of click to it. Like the triggers just feel nicer. The bumpers feel nicer. those are the big improvements. Like the face buttons and sticks are about the same, but the D-pad, let me tell you, the D-pad. Let's get some more of this ASMR in here. It's a loud D-pad, I'll say that, but like, if I hold up to the camera, it has this like sort of cradle to it where I've never used a controller like this before. Like when I put my thumb in it, I feel like I can press every button on the D-pad like without moving my thumb, which is really nice when you're in menus and stuff. Like it feels like just sort of a cradle of buttons around the one finger, and it feels really, really good. It's just like very clicky and satisfying compared to the other one, which was good. Like I like the D-pad, but it just feels like mushy in comparison. Yeah, I am kind of sad to let this old controller go. That's this nice like red and black.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
It's also the exact color of my desk, which I enjoy. But this one's nice. I like the sort of like plastic texturized grip. This nice sort of scratchy material as opposed to like the rubber on this controller. But yeah, no, I'm loving it. The share button works so flawlessly. Like yeah, even on my Xbox One, I was like you just press it and just instantly there. It's like the Switch or something, which is so appreciated because I'm tired of like, you have to press the button and then it goes into a menu and then you press like X or Y or something and then you can screen cap it. But when you just like press the button, like no menus, doesn't pause the game or anything, just right into it, it feels good.
What are you using it for right now? Pictures or video?
It depends. I don't usually capture a ton of stuff, so it's not like a huge thing, but like just kind of mess around with it. I was taking some videos of some of the goofier shit that happened in Yakuza. And then yeah, just like hold it down and then instantly captures what you had. It's nice.
Right.
But yeah, let's jump into some game awards. I'm excited about this.
Okay. So again, and I'll say it again because it could be confusing. I will be going through the awards one by one, or the ones that we're wanting to talk about one by one. I will list all the nominations, and then I will give my pick out of those nominations, which one I would want to win, and then I will give my prediction on which one of those nominations I think will win. Then Ziggy will go, he'll do the same, and then we'll go to the next category. So with that all like being out of the way, let's start with Game of the Year. It's right at the top of my browser list here, so it makes it easy for me to start here. The nominations for this one are Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2. Last year, Sekiro actually won this one, and it deserved it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
My want for this, I want The Last of Us Part 2 to win this one.
Me too, yeah.
I am going on a limb a little bit, but I do think that a lot of people who could be judging could be sentimental to Animal Crossing and being like, oh, that really helped me through this pandemic this year, and could be given it the vote over The Last of Us Part 2. I feel like feelings could get in the way of, or not even in the way, but just, could influence that kind of choice. So my prediction is going to be Animal Crossing out of this list. Ziggy, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, Last of Us Part 2 is definitely my pick of these nominees too. I mean, I think you know which one Half-Life got snubbed in this category. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I fucking love Doom Eternal, but man, Half-Life should have gotten the nomination over that. But yeah, I mean, Last of Us Part 2 is definitely my pick for that. I mean, just as far as like the cultural moment it was, and also just how good the game is, and I think it'll win too, just because. I mean, I think if it was purely like just the audience voting, I think it would be Animal Crossing or Ghosts of Tsushima. But I think because Last of Us was so lauded by critics, I think it has a better chance of winning. Whereas like Final Fantasy VII, I think was a little more controversial among critics, and like Doom Eternal and Ghost of Tsushima, I think all were a little bit more like one side or the other. Animal Crossing, but yeah, I mean, Animal Crossing and The Last of Us, I think it's such a toss-up. Like, either of them really could win. Like you were saying, Animal Crossing, I think, was more of a cultural movement. Like, hearing people who really didn't have any interest in video games talking about that game was just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so many people bought a Switch. Like, people who didn't own a console bought a Switch for Animal Crossing, which is, I mean, you can't really deny that. I don't know. For me, I wish there was two categories. I wish there was like a game of the year and like a best game category, because I kind of feel like it could and should be separated, where like game of the year is like the game that defined that year. So your Animal Crossing or your Fortnite or whatever, like the games that really just like tore that year apart, sort of, and but weren't
Yeah.
necessarily the best. And then the best game is like the game that was just the technically and like best game of the year. But I don't know, that's what I think, but I don't know.
I think that maybe we should take a couple minutes and to actually like kind of discuss this, because we do want to have a game of the year for us. So we should try to define for us at least what game of the year would mean. Because yeah, for me, when I look at this list, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, The Last of Us Part 2, I would easily agree with swapping Final Fantasy VII Remake and Half-Life, or Hades and Half-Life. And mainly, I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, so I actually maybe would even swap that out. Doom Eternal looks very similar to Doom 2016. I have not played that one either. So like, I don't know about you, but for me, I've only played 2 of the games on this list. And
I've played everything but Ghosts and Hades.
okay.
But I feel like I have a better idea of. I don't know. I have a decent idea of what those games are, but I don't want to judge them just because I like.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Yeah.
I feel like that for Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and Hades. All of those, I feel like I have a good idea of what they're like. I've seen enough gameplay. I've seen a lot, but I haven't played them, so I don't know for sure. But like for me, my game of the year is going to be something that pushed. It's going to be something that is like a mixture of pushing the bounds of what you thought a game could be or do, and that's kind of why I feel like I agree. Like Half-Life Alyx just pushed things in VR in such a way that like it was just huge. It's very noticeable. You look at that game, you look at any other VR game, you're like, wow, that is leaps and bounds ahead of anything else.
Like Boneworks is the only one that's close, and even that is like real janky and busted. Like for the average consumer, it would be kind of an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, and now I honestly don't remember if did Zelda Breath of the Wild win Game of the Year.
Yeah,
it did, because like that was something that I would choose, not because I'm a Zelda fan, like that is going to influence me, but that game pushed what you could imagine an open world to be like, and you can already see games like Immortals Phoenix Rising topping that game. You could see multiple other ones, Genshin Impact,
or even
all kinds of things.
Even like less surface level, like something like Ghost of Tsushima took inspiration from it. Death Stranding took huge inspiration from it. Red Dead 2, like games like that came kind of directly after it, just like have some of that shared DNA with it. And yeah, no, I agree. And for me, like, yeah, that's why Half-Life Alyx would be my pick here, is just, I know we're kind of going outside the nominations now, but like because it was both that amazing, like well-written, well-played experience, but it also did push the medium forward in such an interesting way. And I think that could be the case for Animal Crossing too. Like, it didn't click for me. I personally feel like Animal Crossing is a really flawed game, but it absolutely pushed the medium forward as far as like, if not just like making people gamers that would never really have thought to be gamers before, and like pushing, I almost in a community sense more than like an actual like game design sense, if that makes sense. I think there's absolutely a case for Animal Crossing. It's definitely not my pick, but I think there's a case for it. But yeah, The Last of Us Part 2, I think, is the best sort of mix of like, it was a cultural movement, it pushed the medium forward, and it's also just a great game to play. Whereas some of these others, I think, like Final Fantasy VII is a remake, and in that, like, I don't think it was as innovative as much as some of these other games. Like Doom Eternal was just a really tight and great shooter. The same thing, wasn't really innovative. I think a lot of these games you could really put that under, but yeah.
Yeah. For me, like I said, it has to be something that pushed the medium forward. It has to be something that like, and not just in visuals, obviously. But like for me, I wouldn't put Animal Crossing on a Game of the Year list. I would actually put it in something else. But that's because I don't feel like Animal Crossing as a game. I agree with you. I think it's flawed in certain ways. I played it. I found it fun at times, but Taylor was super into it. I think just a lot of people were into it. I think it was popular. Had a similar situation as Fall Guys or whatever, but like it was also had the Nintendo polish. It had the
Mhm.
content, it had the updates and all that stuff. I think that it's just a hit at the right time too, right? So when I
Mhm.
look at the game itself, I don't go, holy crap, like, because I played the DS version when Taylor was playing the Switch version
Mhm.
for a while, and I was like, oh, this is very similar. I just don't think it's evolving the medium at all. I think Hades seems to be, like, I think Hades, Animal Crossing, Ghost of Tsushima, again, I haven't played a couple of these, right? And Doom
Mhm.
Eternal, those three, I think, look like they were doing like the best of those, like what they're trying to do for that
Mhm.
year. And
Hades, I would maybe disagree as far as like not pushing the medium forward because I think Hades
oh,
does
really?
some it does some really really interesting things as far as storytelling goes, like
Okay.
storytelling within its genre and like its format of a game because like it's a roguelite, which is sort of a hard game to tell like a deep narrative in, but
Mm-hmm.
it manages to do that in interesting ways, and I think that's kind of innovative in itself. Honestly, if Hades
Okay.
won Game of the Year, I I would be surprised but not shocked, if that makes sense. Even though it's kind of contradictory. Like it's not what I would expect, but I wouldn't be like, oh, that's absolutely insane. Like I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. It deserves it. I'm kind of rooting for it in a little way just because I like when indie games win. But like I wanted Celeste to win in 2018, even though I knew it had absolutely no chance of winning and
Right.
probably shouldn't have won. But I just like seeing like a well, I guess not debut developer, but like kind of their first
You're a
huge
fan of
project
the
like this.
little
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've talked about Game of the Year enough. We can talk
Yeah,
about
we
it
should
more
move
when
on.
we get into our thing. The next category here we have is Best Game Direction, awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So for this one, I chose The Last of Us Part 2 again, and I predicted that The Last of Us Part 2 will win this category. Last
Mhm.
year, Death Stranding won. Ziggy, go ahead.
So I really want Half Life
Oh,
Alex to win this category.
yeah, I didn't even list them.
Um,
I forgot.
oh yeah, the nominations are Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half Life Alyx, and The Last of Us Part 2. Um,
Thanks.
and I want Half Life to win just because, like, as far as outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design, I feel like Half Life just did so many interesting things in a really, really new medium
Mm-hmm.
as far as, like, storytelling and design goes. Like, The Last of Us Part 2 is definitely innovative and I think probably a tighter experience overall, but it is very much an evolution of like kind of an existing genre, I suppose. Whereas Half Life Alyx, I guess, is also kind of an evolution, but I think it just pushed things forward a little bit more, and partly just because VR is so new, like there's more to push forward, and also I mean there's the bias of me being a Half Life
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
But I do think The Last of Us will win this category just because I mean, it was big. Like, oftentimes, game direction, like, these categories get awards from games that have, like, notable game directors, I suppose. Like, Robin Walker, I think, is just less of, like, a name than someone like Neil Druckmann. So I think
Right.
The Last of Us has kind of an edge in that category. Like, same with last year, where Death Stranding won. Just kind of, I feel like just because Kojima is Kojima, like
Yeah.
Kojima is such a like superstar in the games industry at this point that he kind of would
Mm-hmm.
have to win. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a between those two for sure. And I'm not just saying that to kiss your ass. Like I do agree. I think Half Life Alyx or The Last of Us Part 2. It's got to be one of those two, in my opinion. Next category is Best Narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. Now, the nominees for this one are 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2. So, for me, I chose The Last of Us Part 2 a third time in a row. And I think that The Last of Us Part 2 is going to win this one. Last year, Disco Elysium won. Ziggy,
Well
what did you
deserved.
choose?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I I think it's kind of like, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty easy to say. Like Hades, I mean,
Yeah,
did
you were just
interesting
talking
things as
about
medium.
that one.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll win. Ghost of Tsushima, I don't think will win. 13 Sentinels, I've never heard of
I
this
was
game in
going
my
to say
life.
that. I was going to ask you if you heard of
Yeah,
it.
No, I looked it up. Apparently, it's an Atlas game, which is interesting. So I'm sure it is a good game. I'm kind of interested now. Like,
Yeah,
Best Narrative just seems to kind of pull out these games. Like last year's Disco Elysium, which I had never heard of, and this year's 13 Sentinels, which I think I've heard someone mention like once, but had no idea. But like this little, like the bit of art it has here, it's a cool looking like mech thing.
is it
I'm
a
kind of
mech? It's
interested.
all black and white for me. So,
Oh, yeah, it's
so it
like
looked.
some
I
sort
thought it
of
was a
like spider
spider.
looking mech. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
But yeah, no, it's interesting.
it's a.
But yeah,
If we were doing
Last of
Game
Us 2 will
Club, that
win.
would have been a Game Club game for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, and the next category is Best Art
Actually,
Direction.
wait.
Oh, yeah.
One sec. I want to say, because I forgot to mention this last time, Dreams should have gotten nominated for Best Game Direction. Like, I feel like it's kind of a tragedy that it didn't. Like, Dreams is just so innovative and unique. I really, really feel like it should have been there. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's a tricky one to handle for sure. I'm not going to say anything else.
Mhm.
Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. The nominees are Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2. I chose Ori, and my prediction is Hades for this one. Last year, Control won. Ziggy?
Yeah, I think Ori should win too. I mean that game's just fucking
Wait, did you
gorgeous.
change this?
And I think
I'm kidding.
I mean it's beautiful.
We
Well, all the
agree.
games in that series are beautiful. I personally think Ghost of Tsushima will win. Just because I don't know, it's a more
Yeah.
popular art style, I suppose. And I think Ghost, Hades, and Ori all have a good chance. I mean, Hades is very like art direction-y, if that makes sense. Like its art direction really, really pops out just because it's 2D and
Yeah.
very like kind of over-designed in my opinion. But I mean, Ori, I think it's a toss-up between Ori and Ghost. Personally, I think Ori also has a good chance of winning.
Oh, man,
because it
this-
did get a lot of recognition for that. All these categories are so hard.
They're
man.
all good.
Or not all, some of them, yeah.
I think they're all good. I think they've all done a great
The Last
job.
of Us 2, if I'm being honest, I don't think deserved this nomination. Like, it's a really, really pretty game, but I think that's less from its art direction and more just like its graphical fidelity, if that makes sense. Like, its art direction is good, but I personally think that I could just think
I
of
don't
5
know.
games that
I
have
think
better
if
art
you
direction
can-
than it.
I think if you can make a game look like the concept art, I think that's pretty good.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. Like, I think it's just difference between like art and art direction.
Yeah.
Like, Last of Us Part 2 is easily the most artistically impressive game here, but I think because it is just like kind of
Well,
a standard like
It's also including
post-apocalyptic
animation. Technical achievement
That's
in
true.
artistic
Technical
design and
achievement
animation.
in-
And Last of Us
mhm.
Part 2 definitely has achievements in our
That's
animation,
true,
at
that's
least
true.
facial animation.
Yeah, seriously.
Um,
Never mind. Okay, yeah. With that, yeah, I would say it deserves it.
Yeah, they're all very good. Ori is hands down definitely my favorite though. Like that
Yeah,
game is
same.
so good to look at in every scene, every
It
part of
is.
the world, and that music.
Mhm.
Oh man. Anyways, speaking of music, the next category is best score and music for outstanding music, inclusive of score, an original song, and or licensed soundtrack. The nominations are Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2. And I, as you expect, chose Ori. I also predict that Ori will win, even though I kind of regret that choice now. I think I was just on a high from Ori when I was picking these. But then Death Stranding won last year. And Ziggy, what did you choose?
I said that Doom Eternal is my personal pick. I mean, that's kind of personal preference, though. But I think Final Fantasy VII will win just because it takes a really nostalgic soundtrack and then makes it really modern and good and almost better than the original. Like, it does a good job of making it not just sound, like, more technical than the original, but also just, like, more interesting, I suppose.
Right.
And so I think it'll win just because a lot of these people have a lot of nostalgia for that. So I think it gives it a good boost.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I know for myself, I've listened to the Ori soundtrack at work
It's really
many
beautiful.
days, many days.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It is.
The next category is best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. The nominations are Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, The Last of Us Part 2. The only one I've played from this is The Last of Us Part 2, so I chose that one because I had to go off of what I know. And so then my prediction, with the only one I know, I chose The Last of Us Part 2 again as well.
Yeah. So I mean, as someone who's played, I guess, most of these, I really want to say Half-Life Alyx just because, like, I mean, the sound Half-Life 2's sound design is really fucking iconic for a reason. Like, it's just really well designed. But I also think, like, I mean, there's people are saying, like, blind people who played all the way through The Last of Us Part 2 just, like, through hearing, right? Like,
Right, yeah.
it's the way it conveys tension through audio design and, like, just information through audio design is
Character
so impressive.
breathing?
Yeah, and also, like, that first time you're in the woods and you hear, like, the Seraphites whistling and stuff is just, like, bone chilling. And obviously, like, the clicker sounds and everything, it deserves it, and I think it'll win.
Yeah, did you ever read the article about, or like read about, I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been a chain of tweets. It could have been an article. It was back before or right after the game came out, for The Last of Us Part 2, and they were talking about the breathing. Did you see that? Like how much tech went into, like, just the character and how they're, like, breathing really fast, or, like, and then when they and all that stuff, and, like, depending on whether you're fighting, running, and all that stuff, and the slowing down and the kind of thing, calming down.
Yeah.
I think it was heart rate more than breathing, but still, like, that was an interesting thing to read. Anyways, it was just crazy how much work they put into just such a little thing that is like adrenaline. Got a little bit on a tangent there. So
no, it deserves it though. Yeah.
The next category here is best performance, awarded to the individual for voiceover acting, motion, and/or performance capture. The nominations for this is Ashley Johnson as Ellie, Laura Bailey as Abby. I don't know how to say this one. Daisuke. I'm guessing. I'm trying here. Oh man, I can't say all these.
Something like that, yeah.
Daisuke Tsuji as Jin Sakai. I that's my guess. Do you have a suggestion on that one?
I think you got it.
Okay, I'm gonna go with that. And Logan Cunningham as Hades, and Naji Jeter as Miles Morales. I tried. I'm sorry, people. Yeah, I chose Laura Bailey as Abby because I felt like that performance was very good. If it was able to convince me, or, like, I guess there's a lot of things, but for me, like, I actually ended up liking Abby at the end of the game, and I felt like
me too.
The performance played a key part in that. I also predicted that Naji Jeter, I hope I'm saying the name right, that him playing as Miles Morales, that he's going to win because Spider-Man is super popular, and I'm hoping that it's not because of that reason, but that's my hunch. Mads Mikkelsen won last year. Ziggy, who did you choose?
I chose Ashley Johnson, and I think that she'll win. I think The Last of Us, either Ashley or Laura, I think will win. And that's just because, like, out of any of these games, like, it was The Last of Us was the one that people on Twitter were, like, people were talking about their acting and stuff. Like, I haven't played Miles Morales, or any of these other games really, so I can't actually comment on the acting, and I'm sure it's great, but, like, The Last of Us was just such a step above, and I think that was fairly recognized, even from people who didn't like the game as much. So for me, the pick was just, like, one or the other. And for me personally, I thought Ashley Johnson was just so, like, bone chilling. Like, her scenes of just, like, pure rage were just, like, disturbing to watch, and I think she wins because of that. But it really, like, if Laura Bailey won, I think she totally would deserve it.
Yeah, it's definitely like, there's so many good actors and actresses, and I think that's so cool that they're, like, again, I agree with you. I haven't played the other three, or I haven't seen the other three their performances, but, like, there's so many talented people now doing voiceovers and acting for games, and I love that. I'm so happy about that now.
Also, wait, one other quick thing. I like to see just how like diverse the like all these actors are. Like it's interesting. Like in video games, which is a medium that's kind of known for not being as diverse. It's nice to see like, like an Asian man and a black man and two women. It's just nice to see. Like
That's true.
being
Yeah. I
shown
didn't
in
even
this way,
notice
yeah.
it, but I, you're right. That's
I
that's
just
a big
noticed it
deal,
now, yeah.
and that's a good thing for sure.
Mhm.
I guess like for me, I'm just like, and I'm not saying you're not, but I'm like, oh yeah, that just makes sense. These are the best.
No, yeah, same.
But yeah, that makes sense. The next category is games for impact, or a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. This one has the nominees as follows. The first one is If Found, Kentucky Route Zero TV edition, Spiritfarer, Tell Me Why, and Through the Darkness of Times. I've only played Spiritfarer, so I chose that one, and I only played it a couple hours, but I could tell what it was doing with itself, and I was kind of like, oh, this is neat. And then I watched some gameplay later on, and just because I was like interested in it, but I didn't want to play it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I could see this being a good one, but I honestly don't have a stake in the race for this, or really. I predicted Tell Me Why will win, just on a hunch. And do you pronounce it Gree or Gris? Because I say Gree for who won last year.
I think it's Gree. I forget. I know someone has told me the correct pronunciation.
I'm telling you the correct pronunciation is Gree. So we're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Ziggy,
let's go with
what
that.
did you choose and why?
So yeah, I haven't played any of the games in this list. No, I take it back. I played Kentucky Route Zero for like a half hour. That's it though. And I mean, Kentucky Route Zero was the most interesting to me out of all these games, so I picked that. To be honest, I had no idea that game even like was a fit for this category. I thought it was just like an interesting sort of like fantastical realism game. And If Found and Through the Darkest of Times, I've never heard of these games, so it's interesting they got a nod. But personally, I think Spiritfarer is going to win, just because I think there's a little bit more of like, I think people were a little bit higher on that game than Tell Me Why, but I could also see Tell Me Why winning just because I think it's the most like recognizable out of all these. Like Don't Nod is known for making games kind of specifically for this category, and so I think just based off that reputation, it could get that little bit of a boost. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say, so we can go to the next one. For best ongoing game, awarded to the game for outstanding development of an ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. The nominations are Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. And I just changed my choice on this one to agree with you because I didn't read the description for some reason when I chose it earlier in the week. And yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I guess I just spoiled it. Sorry, but yeah, I chose No Man's Sky. And I'll let you talk about it because you chose it first. But I agree, it should be No Man's Sky. And then I am predicting that Warzone will win this one. Because I don't want Fortnite to. And then Fortnite won last year. What did you choose, Ziggy?
I chose No Man's Sky. And I think it's obvious, like just that like the redemption arc of that game, it so deserves it. Like going from kind of like a joke, like a literal joke, to being something that I think is really, really cool. And like the community loves this game too. Like I'm in the subreddit for it, so I kind of see what they do.
Oh, really?
But they like they a while ago like bought a billboard outside of Hello Games' office to like thank them for making such a great game and stuff. Like the community loves them, and for good reason. Like they put so much effort in. Just recently, they put out like the patch that everybody has been asking for since launch, and just like for free out of nowhere, like, hey, guess what, guys? The variety of our generation is way better now. Enjoy. And like just it's cool stuff like that. Like they just really, really take care of their fans of that game.
Yeah, I agree, and that was why I originally had chosen Apex Legends, just because I felt like that was the game that had the most pull to make me want to go back because of updates and things, and that was my initial reason. But then when I read the description of, awarded to game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the game, it involves the player experience over time, right? I was like, No Man's Sky has evolved the most of any of these games, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said,
It's like
gone
a different
from
game now,
dumpster fire to an actually like amazing game now that is a lot of fun to play and has a community, like you said, that loves it to death. I think that's just cool. And personally for me, I think I've seen in the other four, being Fortnite, Call of Duty, Warzone, Destiny 2, Apex Legends, I've seen like dry spells or people complaining about missing content regularly, not just on occasion. So I feel
like all these other games have that thing, where like the community of the game just kind of hates the game. I feel like these other four games kind of have that syndrome where like, every Destiny fan hates Destiny and hates Bungie to some degree,
and they like to claim that it's because they love it.
Yeah. Or I mean, same with Warzone or Fortnite. It's all on that. But I feel like No Man's Sky is the one game on here where the fans of the game actually genuinely adore the game. And I mean, out of these five, like Apex Legends is probably my favorite game. But I think just like for what the category is, No Man's Sky deserves it.
The next category is Best Indie Game, which I'm sure you love this category. You are the indie guy. Anytime I talk to anyone, they're like, "Oh yeah, Nick, you just play all the main games, and Ziggy likes all the indies." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's mostly true." But I like a little both. And then I chose Hades for my choice, and that was because it's the one out of. Oh, sorry, I didn't even say the nominees. Okay, the nominees for this is Carrion, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Hades, Splunky 2, and Spiritfarer. And again, I chose Hades. That is because while I liked Carrion, and that's the only one I've played out of all these, Hades is the one that, already with my knowledge of roguelite games and how much I love them, I didn't even finish Carrion. Like, I liked it a lot, but I was like, okay, played it a couple hours. I'm done with this. I kind of got where it's going. I've unlocked a bunch of abilities and did things. But Hades looked like the kind of game that I could get addicted to in a fun way and just want to jump in over and over again, get better at the game. It just looks like a blast. And honestly, when I have the funds that I want to spend on it, I am totally going to support that game and jump into it at some point. So that's why I chose that one. My prediction is that Fall Guys is going to win. Disco Elysium won last year, well deserved, and another one I still mean to get to. So I hope Hades isn't like that for me. And what did you choose, Zig?
I chose Hades, and I think it'll win. Same thing. I played Carrion, I played Fall Guys, and I liked both of those games. But I don't think that they necessarily deserve to be the best of the year. And like, I haven't played Hades, but I think just based off of what I've seen, it is a better game than those two. So I felt the exact same way about Carrion. Like, I really, really liked that game. I thought it was super cool, but same thing, I didn't really feel motivated to finish it, which if I didn't feel motivated to finish it, I feel like it maybe doesn't necessarily deserve to be the best of the year. But yeah. There's a lot of games that came out this year that I feel like should have been nominated for this category, but this is such a hard one because a lot of it, like, best indie oftentimes just means the most successful indie games of the year, not really the best, because there is so many that just, like, were fully under the radar for the whole year, and that's unfortunate, and I think a lot of those games are better than these five, but these are just the ones that hit that mainstream appeal and that people were talking about, so it makes sense they would get nominated, because you can't get nominated for an award if no one's played your game, But, like, I mean, like, Ultra Kill comes to mind, because, I mean, I've talked about that a million times on the podcast. I'm sure there's more, my mind's blanking. But I
was going to ask you.
But yeah, out of these five, Hades, I think, is the win. Personally, Ultra Kill would absolutely be my pick, but yeah, unfortunately, it is not huge.
I'm just going to bring Limbo back and just say that one. Just kidding. that one wins every year.
Limbo for the win every year.
The next one category, maybe we'll skip mobile game. Okay. Because, like, I mean, do you play games on your phone? Do you care about that category?
Among Us is the only game I've played on my phone, and I think it's the only game people care about on this list, so I think it's going to win. Other than Genshin Impact, I should say that. Yeah. Genshin Impact and Among Us, I think, are the only two that have a chance, and Among Us was just such an insane cultural phenomenon. I think it's it's gonna win.
Yeah, last year COD Mobile won for the best mobile game. I just added the nominees, which are Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, Legends of Runeterra, Pokemon Cafe Mix, which I've never heard of. I chose Genshin Impact because I never played Among Us. A lot of people have liked that game. It's just not something I wanted to get into. And Genshin Impact is like a full open world kind of situation where you get almost like a Breath of the Wild game that I could play on my phone and continue my save on my computer. And I just thought that was so cool. And that was really like, I don't even have it installed anymore, but the fact that I could jump into a game that was like, oh, I'm going to go to that far area and do that while watching a movie on the couch. Like, I just thought that was cool. So that's why I chose that one. My prediction for who's going to win would be the Among Us. That's got to. The next category is best community support. So recognizing the game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates / patches. The nominations for this is Epic Legends, Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Valorant. And I feel like I actually got a bit of understanding on these ones. I don't follow all of them the same amount, but I kind of follow Apex. I follow Fortnite enough, not much though. Like I don't play it, but I just like interested in what they're doing. And then Destiny 2, I still actually read their weekly updates every week, and that's something that's kind of funny to me because I don't play that game anymore, but I'm always like wanting to find a reason to, so I'm always reading this stuff. And that's the one I chose, Destiny 2, because I played it the most of all these, and because their updates were honestly just what kept me going when there was nothing to play in their game or there wasn't much to do and you're just kind of like waiting for new content. Their updates were so in depth. You'd have an update one week that's about, the patch that's coming up and here's how it's going to affect your characters and what it's going to do. Then you'd have a slow week, but they would just feature a ton of people's art or videos or talk about cool activities that are coming up, just so you kind of have an idea of what's happening. And I don't know, I feel like they keep you in the loop. They kind of let you know what's going on. They give you a great roadmap and they stick to it more than ever, more than when they don't. And I think that's great. So what did you choose, Zig?
I chose No Man's Sky, and I think it'll win just for the reasons I stated before. But honestly, Apex, I think, deserves a shout out here too, just because like their developers are so active in the subreddit, and always like they get a lot of shit from their fans, and sometimes deservedly so. But I think just because of how like active and communicative they are with the community, I think it's worth a shout out. But I think No Man's Sky, from what I said before, like the fans love Hello Games and Hello Games loves its fans, so I think it'll win. But honestly, I'm kind of the opposite as you. I don't really pay attention to like the community support for any of these games other than No Man's Sky and Apex, so I don't really have I don't feel super strongly one way or the other.
Right. Oh, and I didn't mention Destiny 2 won last year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The next category for this one, unless you have anything else to say on it, is best VR/AR. So for the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. There's only one nomination for this one. It's Half-Life Alyx. Just kidding. So the nominations for this is Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. So I chose Half-Life Alyx, even though I've never played it, because I don't need to play any of these to know which one's the best. And I think it'll win. I also wanted to say that Beat Saber won last year. Ziggy, which one did you choose? Let's not take forever on this.
I think Iron Man VR is gonna win. I think just the way it innovated really made you feel like Iron Man. No, I mean it's Half-Life Alyx. It for obvious reasons. It's the first full AAA VR game. That's enough to get it in. Yeah.
I missed an opportunity. I should have been clever and pushed for the Iron Man VR though. Like you just made the joke there. I should have gone for that and then like had it on the dock and you've been like, is he joking? Like, is he serious? And then really fought for it and been like, no, you don't understand. Like Iron Man is cool. He's made of iron or something like that, Just started like fighting for it just to like get to you. But that would have been great. Okay, well let's go on to the next one. We have innovation and accessibility is the next category. So innovation in accessibility. I might have said it wrong. Recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. So those nominees are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, which actually I've never heard of, but I'm interested in, The Last of Us Part 2, and Watch Dogs Legion. So for me, hands down, the most accessible game on this list is The Last of Us Part 2, for sure. So I chose that one, and I predict it will win. I didn't see a category for this last year, and so I might be wrong, but I just wrote NA on that because I couldn't find a category for it, so I don't know if it's a new one.
I think this is a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I picked The Last of Us 2. I think it deserves it. I think it'll win. And I think it'll win just because it was talked about so much. I personally think Doom Eternal should have gotten a nomination. Just because, it was similar to The Last of Us Part 2 as far as how, customizable it was as in terms of accessibility. Like, you could really, really go deep and change, each HUD element and change the color of each HUD element and make everything, perfect for you. But I think The Last of Us, as far as difficulty options, it does such a good job of, even if you don't have any sort of accessibility issues or, disabilities, if you just want to absolutely tune the experience to difficulty for you. So, if you want enemies to be really hard, but you have lots of resources or something like that, you can really fine-tune it, and I think that's worth a shout-out. Grounded, I also think it did an interesting thing. I mean, for the most part, it seemed like it had pretty standard options, but it had, an arachnophobia mode where it, got rid of all the scary spider stuff, which I thought was interesting. If you have a genuine phobia, you have a phobia, if you have a panic attack and you see it, I think that's a really, really cool thing to add, because otherwise you just wouldn't be able to play that game. For someone like me, it creeps me out, but I'd still have a fun time playing Grounded. But I know for some people that really would make or break their ability to play it, so I think that's a cool feature.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind for me when I looked at the list. I was like, because Grounded was the second one in, and I thought, well, what does Grounded have? Oh yeah, the spider, the arachnophobia mode, and having the ability to reduce the amount of legs it has, and then go right down to just a floating torso. I was like, that's cool. But then as soon as I saw Last of Us Part 2, I was like, yeah, I have to choose that one, because personally, I think that is the best. Moving on. The next category is Best Action. So for the best, this is where I don't like this category in the next one, being it's kind of weird, I think, in terms of what it's called. But we have Best Action. So I'm guessing Best Action Game. But for the best game in the action genre focused primarily on combat.
Alex shouldn't be in here.
So
it's so strange. Sorry, I interrupted you.
So the nominations for this one are Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, and Streets of Rage 4. I almost chose Neo 2, but I don't feel like it's that's just because I feel like that is such a high level of skill needed for that I don't know if that would necessarily mean it's the best. And Half-Life Alyx was considered, but I haven't played it enough, and I could just tell for myself I would enjoy playing Hades the most, but I haven't played any of these. So I chose Hades for my pick, and I predicted that Doom Eternal will win this one. Last year, Devil May Cry 5 won. Ziggy, what did you choose?
So Half-Life Alyx, I said that's very much should be an action adventure. Half-Life Alyx is good, but it's not good because of its combat. Its combat is decent, but I feel like the Half-Life series in general is known for having serviceable combat, but what really makes it shine is the puzzle solving and the narrative and the way it tells its story, which has nothing to do with the action genre. So I mean, with that said, I think Doom Eternal is easily my favorite in this list, just because it's, in my opinion, one of the best shooters ever made. And I think it's a toss-up between that and Hades. I think Hades just had a little bit better critical reception, so I think it has a better chance of winning. But I think in terms of just pure combat systems, Doom Eternal deserves it the most.
Yeah, so we're flipped on that one. We'll see how it pans out, or if we're both completely wrong. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny that we both got the opposites there on preference
Hmm.
versus prediction.
Hmm.
The next category is not best action, but best action slash adventure. For the best
Hmm.
action slash adventure game, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. So, like you said, sounds like it should have been Half-Life Alex.
Really, really should have.
um, the nominations for this are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Last of Us Part 2. Noteworthy, or something worth pointing out, is that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order did come out after the nomination, or like after the
Hmm.
cutoff for last year's Game Awards, so it is eligible, and I think it's cool that at least it got in here. But
Hmm.
I still personally had to give it to Ori and the Will of the Wisps because I loved Last of Us Part 2, I loved Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but Ori and the Will of the Wisps, man, like that game just got me in so many
Hmm.
ways. I don't want to spend a long time on it, but yeah, I just from the music to the level design to the puzzle solving to the art and the story, just it cut deep, man, and I loved it, every little bit of it, and I 100% of that game. And the only thing I didn't do was just speedrun stuff. So, like
Hmm.
I love that game so much, and I wish I didn't 100% it just so I could have a reason to go back and play through. But, anyways,
Hmm.
um, so that was my pick for it. The Last of Us Part 2 is who I think will win.
Hmm.
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is what won last year. And Ziggy, what did
Hmm.
you choose?
I actually chose Jedi Fallen Order. So for me, The Last of Us Part Two was kind of what I wanted to pick, but I think for me, the action adventure elements of it aren't really what makes it stand out. Like I think a lot of these games do the action adventure side of it better than The Last of Us Part Two. Because for me, it was mostly like the performances and the story and the animation
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that that really made it stand out. And I haven't played Assassin's Creed Ghosts or Miles Morales, so I can't really comment on those. I didn't finish Ori or Star Wars, but from what I played, I enjoyed Star Wars just that little bit more. Ori, honestly, mostly just because Metroidvanias never really click for me. I always want them to click. I always start them, and then I just end up kind of getting lost, and it just kind of doesn't feel as fun for me. But so it's a little bit harder for me to pick Ori, but I could absolutely see why it would win. And I agree with you. I think The Last of Us Part Two will win. I don't think that's necessarily deserved in this category, but I think it will.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on The Last of Us Part 2 being. It's like, when I think of it, I don't think of any puzzle solving. I know there was some, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think of
The
that. I
rope
don't.
puzzles were cool. Those were kind of innovative and neat,
Yeah, it was.
but that's about
But
it.
the rope was cool. I didn't find the puzzles noteworthy. I didn't find
Hmm.
the traversal very like worth mentioning. It was more of A
Hmm.
to B, a lot of
It
combat.
it
And
got the job done.
yeah, it was a story, and you're playing it for the story. So for me,
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
wasn't my choice. But yeah, on to the next one. Best role playing game. For the best game designed with rich player characters, customization, and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. So the nominations for this one were Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royal, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, can I ask you, because I haven't played it, does Final Fantasy VII have rich player character customization?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
The gear system and the materia system, you can really sort of like fine tune, and like it does have like skill trees and shit too. So it definitely does have a
Okay.
lot of that.
Yeah, in my head, I was thinking visual or something like that, and I was like, I haven't really
Oh
looked into
yeah,
this game too much, but I was like, I thought you just play
I
as that
think
cloud
yeah.
guy, and I was like, I've never seen anyone wearing a different outfit. Anyways, that was why I
Uh huh.
asked. My choice for this one was Wasteland 3, but I think there's a lot of good options here. Um, Wasteland 3 was my favorite for this year for sure. I'm looking forward to playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. Persona 5 has been fun for me. I didn't play the Royal version, but Like, I've enjoyed that. Genshin Impact I enjoyed for a time. I've never played Final Fantasy VII Remake, but that's the only one I haven't played on this. Or, sorry, that one and Yakuza are the only two I haven't played on this list. And yeah, Wasteland 3 just gave me such a good, rich story experience, and the customizing of your party and what kind of builds you want to have for each character in your party. And the fact that it brought me into a whole new genre of game that I've never thought I would like or play before. I was like, I have to give this my vote, because that pulled me in and kept me playing it as my only game I played until I finished the game. And I'm looking forward to playing it again at some point in my life. Don't know when, but yeah, that's why I chose that one. But my prediction for who will win is Persona 5 Royal, and Disco Elysium won last year. Just to note that. Ziggy, what did you choose? What was your favorite? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I mean, to be like Yakuza, I've been liking so far, but that's a very like 8 out of 10 game for me. Like, I think it's good, but definitely not the best. Final Fantasy VII, I absolutely adored, but fuck man, Persona 5 is so good. I think when I looked at my like top 50 game list, I think it was like my third favorite RPG of all time. And Nier Automata is above that, and which, I mean, that'll never be meat. No, fuck.
Who's beaten what?
never be beat. I don't know. I struggled so much with that. Jesus. But no, Persona 5 is fucking amazing. Oh, it absolutely deserves it, and I think it'll win.
Nice.
And Persona 5 is fucking amazing, but also like Persona 5 Royal takes Persona 5 and upgrades it in such a meaningful way that I think the Royal version deserves it, even though it is kind of just a re-release. Right. But like the new content is so good and genuinely meaningful, and like the new things it adds just make it such a more pleasant experience to play, that I think as a re-release it deserves it.
Cool. I want to play it now, because the fact that you talk about it being so good, like, I want to finish that game, but it's so long. Like, I just don't think I ever will. Yeah. Like, and that's such a bummer. Like, I wish I was just a kid in high school again, where you could just, that's all you had to worry about was school.
For me, yeah, Persona 5 Royal was my March or April game this year, when it was like peak quarantine. I was unemployed at the time, or like the restaurant I work at just wasn't open. So like, and I had money. I'm still living at home, so I wasn't really like too worried, but I just had like a fuck ton of time on my hands, because I didn't have school, I didn't have work, I didn't have anything. I just played this so much and just burned through it in like a month. But yeah, it is a bummer it's so long, but I think its length also makes it a little bit more meaningful for me.
So if you're okay with this, I'd like to go on and just kind of go through the next two categories real quick, and I'll just mention, because you and I chose the same for both for these next two categories, so I'll just kind of fly through these real quick. So the next one is Best Fighting Game. So for the best games designed primarily around head-to-head combat, the nominees for this one were Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter V Champion Edition, One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, Under Night in Birth EXE, Late, and then CL-R. Never heard of that one, and I never even heard of the One Punch Man
game one. Names are so stupid. The One Punch Man, I'm surprised that's on here, because I heard nothing but bad things about that game.
Yeah,
which made me sad, because I like One Punch Man.
Yeah, same.
Mortal Kombat 11.
But we chose Mortal Kombat 11. Both of us our prediction and our want. That's such a good game, and gotta love violence when it's not real life. Exactly. The next category was Best Family Game. For the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform, the nominations were Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Mario Kart Live, Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, Paper Mario: The Origami King. And Ziggy and I both chose, both as our want and our prediction, Animal Crossing. Makes sense.
I want to say Mario Kart Live, just because I think it'd be funny, and I think that's such a weird and like bizarre and innovative game, but I mean, it's also
best family game
and doesn't deserve it. It doesn't deserve it in the slightest.
That's the game you give the kids to leave you alone.
Exactly.
The next category, do we want to go over that one? Best sim strategy?
I don't really. Okay, I want to say real quick, this is such a stupid fucking category because simulation and strategy are two completely different
Very
genres.
different
Like
things.
when you're trying to compare Gears Tactics to Microsoft Flight Sim, like I don't know which one's better. Like one is a really deep simulator and one is like a tactical strategy game. I don't. It's such a weird mashup of genres to put into one category. But yeah, Microsoft Flight Sim was my pick.
Aren't like most of these the same except for Flight Simulator?
Yeah, all these are like tactical RPGs except for Flight Simulator, I think.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to go through all this one, so we're just gonna continue. What about racing games? Do you want to do that one, or should we skip that one?
Sports racing. I just wanted to say that Tony Hawk, like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 remake was fucking amazing, and it absolutely deserves it. And I think it'll win too. I think it got like the public, and I think it got a good enough public perception that it can pretty easily take this category.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking either that or FIFA, just because FIFA is so popular as well. I mean, really, I don't follow any sports, so I was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna throw something on here. Then we have best multiplayer game. I think we should talk about that one because that one we actually play some of these. We have the description is for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. The nominations are Animal Crossing: New Horizons for some reason, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, and Valorant. By the way, I know why they chose Animal Crossing: New Horizons. I'm not serious about saying for some reason. I just don't think the online functionality is very good.
No, the multiplayer is like the worst part of that game easily. I hated it.
It's terrible.
It does not deserve
the fact
it.
that you have to like
it's really bad.
Be waiting for someone, you have to have your gates open or something, and then you have to like someone else is going in there, so then you have to try again with your code, you have to type it all out again or something like that, and
everything is in dialogue, so you have to skip through like 5 dialogue bubbles, and then you enter your code, and then you skip through another 5, then you have to wait an hour for it to fucking load you in, and it's so frustrating. I hate it. Anyway.
Yeah, so for all of these, the only ones I've played were Warzone and Animal Crossing. So I definitely went with Warzone. I've really enjoyed Warzone. I had a couple periods this year where I was just super into it. So I chose that one as my pick for this category. And then my prediction was Animal Crossing. Last year, Apex Legends won. Ziggy, what did you choose?
I forget. I think I picked Fall Guys as my favorite. And I also think Animal Crossing will win, which pisses me off, but whatever. Fall Guys was just fun. I don't know. I looked at this list and I thought, like, God, dude, like none of these were that amazing to me. Like, was there not? Like, I feel like there was more multiplayer games that came out this year, but I don't think so.
I don't think there were because my brother and I will play a lot of multiplayer games together. Like that's kind of one of the things that like keep us in contact, or that we'll do as like a, hey, how are you doing? We'll talk with each other, kind of get updated on each other's lives while we're playing a multiplayer game. We played a little bit of Warzone, but then his computer wasn't working on that, and then like we weren't like he's playing Animal Crossing, but I'm not, and neither of us are interested in Among Us. And I trying to think of what else. Like there were some co-op games that didn't end up coming out that we wanted to play, but like we're looking forward to Outriders. We want to play that together, but that's a co-op game. I think that counts. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think many came out this year,
including co-op and multiplayer experiences. Yeah.
Do you want to go through content creator or best debut game?
I just picked the one that I recognized here. So
for content creator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same. So
yeah,
we both
Alana's the only one in this list that I know.
We both chose Alana Pierce. Yeah. For content
but
creator.
She's cool. I mean, she deserves it. She really deserves it. She does good work.
Yep, 100%. Best debut game. For the best debut game created by a new independent studio, that has the nominees for that one are Carrion, which Ziggy will have something to say there. Mortal Shell, and Raji, and Ancient Epic, Roki, and Phasmophobia. I chose Mortal Shell, And my prediction was that Phasmophobia will win. I didn't see a category last year, so I don't know who would have won last year, if that was even a thing.
This was the Subway, like the Subway Fresh Game.
Oh, was it?
Category. Yeah, and I think they must have lost their Subway sponsorship, which is, I mean, a tragedy.
Just a tragedy.
But last year, Outer Wilds won.
Oh, okay. I'll write that down. But while I do that, my reason for choosing Mortal Shell is because I'm such a huge Souls fan, and like this like little team of people, I can't remember how many it was. I want to say around 15.
It's really small. I thought it was like 7, but I think you might be right.
What?
Mortal Shell.
What are you looking at?
Just like how big the team was. I thought it was like around 7 people, but you probably would know better than me.
Oh, I'm just going off of memory, so I.
But yeah, no, it was really small.
Sometimes.
It's crazy impressive.
But yeah, small team, great game. I played through the demo. I played through the first couple hours of the game. I bought it just to support them, but I haven't played through the whole thing yet. I know I will at some point because I've really enjoyed it. It's just definitely a steep learning curve, definitely tough, definitely challenging. Totally gives you that what you want if you're a huge fan of the Souls games. And so for me, I was like, hands down, for me, this is amazing. This is what I would want out of a first game. You can see where they could go with more funding, with a bigger team, but they did such a good job with what they had. Ziggy, what did you choose?
So first I want to say Carrion shouldn't be on here because this is not Phobia Games' first game. They, man, what's their other game? It's called like, it's called Butcher. It's, if you look up Phobia Game Studio on Steam, it's literally on their profile. It's not like a hidden thing. I don't know why this is on here. Like, that's a weird oversight. Carrion would have been my pick for it, but I didn't want to pick it because it's not their debut game. So I said Phasmophobia just because I haven't played it, but I think it looks neat. So
it does look neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it'll win too, just because it had such
that.
a like zeitgeist around it.
I love that you noticed that.
I've heard of their old game before. I heard people like, I remember I looked at it and I went, oh, this looks identical to Carrion. and that's how I remembered it, is because it's like the exact same art style, and it's the same thing where you're like the monster killing a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Except you look like the Predator sort of in this one. It's neat. But yeah. Phasmophobia looks neat, so I will pick it.
Nice. Well, that's we're not going to go through the esports categories at all because Ziggy and I don't care / know about these. Yeah, that's cool. If you're a fan of that, that's great. Not saying you shouldn't be a fan of it, but that's not something we're going to cover. Yeah, that being all said, that's all the categories that we're going to give commentary on and kind of do our predictions on. So we have our list here. We're not going to edit it. I've edited one category today. That is it. I'm not touching it again. I will not. And just a reminder, we also have our predictions for Metacritic on Cyberpunk. I'll just go over that real quick. Ziggy is predicting that, and again, this is 2 weeks after whenever the embargo is, whenever that's up, 2 weeks from there. What is Metacritic's score going to be for this game? Ziggy is sitting at 90 as his prediction, and I'm sitting at 92 for my Cyberpunk prediction as well. So hopefully that comes out December 10th. I'm really hoping. That'll be nice.
We got to the Yakuza too. I don't think we mentioned that last episode. The fact that
why would I mention that?
I won. Yeah. I'm the winner.
You are the winner.
I predicted 80. Nick predicted 78, and it came out as an 84 on PlayStation at least.
Recount. I don't agree with this. Something must be wrong.
I was pretty close. 80, that's not bad. But yeah, 83 on Xbox Series X, which is what I'm going to go off of, because that's the only next gen one.
Yeah, if a game ends up better than the score we guessed, that's probably a good thing. That can't be be a bad thing. It's only good. Yeah. Yeah,
this definitely had better perception than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. So
that's about it, though.
That's it for our coverage on the Game Awards until the event. Just a reminder that Ziggy and I are going to be doing a live stream when the Game Awards goes live. I don't know that if they've announced time yet, but it'll be on December 10th. And yeah, we'll be doing our own streams, and we'll be in each other's stream, kind of just reacting together to the whole thing, and that'll be really fun, I think.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that, and I'll be playing Cyberpunk all day before whenever it is, so that'll be a blast as well, as long as it comes out. Yeah, without anything else to say, Zig, are you cool if I just end the episode here, or do you have anything you want to mention?
Good to me. Twitch.tv/Ziggy Hickson. I guess.
Yeah, well, that for sure.
All my usual plugs. Ziggy Hickson everywhere. I haven't streamed in a while. I just haven't had I don't know. I've been playing too much stuff on my Switch and my Xbox that I haven't really had much to stream because I don't have a capture card yet, and hopefully I will soon, so I can actually stream my No More Heroes Journey or something. But yeah.
Yeah, have you finished?
Hopefully next week I'll have more impressions on that.
Have you finished Resident Evil 7?
Oh no, I didn't, huh? I really need to finish that. It's just that last section which I was really not having a fun time with when you're on the boat and I don't know, it was just frustrating to me and I wasn't it just kind of took away the stuff that I liked and it was kind of annoying, but
yeah,
maybe I'll finish it eventually. Who knows?
Well, I'll watch it if you ever do. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, you can find me at Nickelob just about anywhere. I've been doing a ton of coverage right now on the PlayStation 5 now that I have it. I did an unboxing video you can find on my YouTube channel. I did my impressions on Astro's Playroom and a bit of the controller and what that's like. I think that's up now. I've been trying to schedule things to kind of come out at a decent pace here. I have my Dark Souls 3 randomized item playthrough. That's having episodes coming up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then just as soon as they're processed and ready, I'm uploading my live streams from Twitch where I've been playing Demon Souls. I'm putting those right onto YouTube, so just in their entirety. I'm not editing that. It's 3 hours a piece, so yeah, that's not something I'm going to go through. But yeah, you can check out all that content there. Follow me on Twitter. All the links are below in the description. Yeah, that's actually something I want to add, Zig, now that I think about it. I want to add your link to the description as well, because I realize I don't have that, so I should have that.
That would be a good idea, yeah. I would appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, without any further ado, I will say you can find this podcast on my YouTube channel at Nickelob. You can find it on Spotify if you look up Screen Peeking, and you can find it on iTunes as well. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. This is such a blast. Next week we might have a guest, and I might have some more opinions and things to talk about with the PlayStation 5 and my impressions on Demon Souls. But yeah, thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye-bye.